Here's a Unit 500 engined Royal Enfield Bullet that I've been working on. Well, it's actually a Classic 500, and this was brought in because the owner said the engine was noisy and he wanted me to check it out, and it had already been partially dismantled in that he drained the oil and removed the screws from this cover and the kickstart and so on. So I just carried on and went in there and had a look, and I was sort of expecting I might have found backlash between the gear teeth on the timing gears and camshafts, which can be adjusted by the eccentric spindles in there, but they were okay. There was no excessive backlash to speak of, but there was quite a lot of end float on the camshafts, and someone's been in there previously because they'd fitted one of those Carberry plates with the anti-vibration bearing in it, and there was no sign of any shims outboard of the camshafts, which there ought to be. So I had some shims to hand and I shimmed them accordingly to take out any end float and put it all back together, and I'm just about ready to try it now. But another thing that he'd been experiencing was clutch drag, and he brought the oil that he drained from the engine because he said it had only recently been put in and might as well put it back in again. So I did, and as you can see there in the window, we're up to the high mark there in the window. That is some of the oil that he brought along with him, and there's my hand and there's that seat for a bit of scale. I'd say that there's probably getting on for not far off a litre in there, certainly well over half a litre. So I think the excessive oil has probably been causing the clutch drag. But in any case, I'm going to take it for a ride soon and see how it goes. And unfortunately I've got no before footage of what it sounded like, because obviously he drained the oil and loosened the cover, so I just went in there and had a look. And I also took the cover off the primary side just to check and make sure that the bolt that holds the engine sprocket on was in place and tight, because they can sometimes work loose and even fall out, but all that was in good order. So I'm going to get ready to take it for a run now and hopefully see that everything's alright with a bit of luck. Okay, let's try out this Royal Enfield 500 EFI Classic and see how it goes. Like I said, I got no before sort of ride to go on, but I was told it had been noisy, and I think I found the problem and dealt with it. Also, I noticed that the chain was very tight on it. I had to slacken that, and that's as a result of someone previously fitting a larger gearbox sprocket to it and not adjusting the chain off, slackening it off enough. So I'm not expecting this to take off like a scalded cat because the gearing has been raised, but let's go and see how it goes, and if it's mechanically quiet enough, and also see if there's any of this reported clutch drag, which I think may have been down to the excessive amount of oil I found had been in the engine. It's a bit what we call muggy today. We haven't got the sun shining, but it's still very warm. It has rained, but it's dry now. It's still very close. I think we can get some thunderstorms. Let's go anyway. Show some lights, might as well, I suppose. Right. Have a reasonable camera angle.
still in gear. Okay, let's see if we can get neutral. Oops, no. Oh, hang on then. There's first gear. I've lost the feeling in my foot, you see. There we are. I've got sciatica and I can't feel my left foot too well at the moment. Right, but the neutral light, oh, it is working, it's very dim. Right, there first. Sight tackle into second. Right, let's see. I think that's more down to my foot than clutch drag or anything. I don't think the clutch is dragging anyway. Well, that was all rather bland and civilised. I haven't had too much trouble with gear changes recently because most of the things I've been riding have got the gear levers on the right side. My Honda 500T has been a bit tricky at times, and likewise this because the gear change is on the left, but I'd say that actually that was down to me and the numbness that I've got in my foot and my part of my left leg at the moment, thanks to sciatica, which is a brilliant companion to have. And that's about as fast as one of these will go. Incidentally, I was sat up, I had the throttle to the stop, so that's about your lot. I'm not going to set the world on fire, and it doesn't really feel like an old bike either, I wouldn't have said. And also the crank feels quite light. It runs smooth. The crank feels quite light compared to the old British singles and the older Indian ones even. The fuel injection and the EFI and all the electronics, well, I don't know whether it would have come up on camera, but a couple of times when I blipped the throttle to change down or whatever, the engine just gasped and did nothing. And there was a bit of jerkiness going up out of the village as well, which seemed to clear once I'd given it a couple of bursts of full throttle. So what that was all about, I don't really know. So fuel injection and EFI, obviously they have their hiccups as well. They're not for me, but some people quite like them, but they're obviously not foolproof or trouble-free either. But I think what I needed to do has been successful, and this can probably go home.